Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Kate Crowley. I work for CAFOD, which is the Catholic Agency for Overseas Development. And in your schedule, it will tell you that Melanie Duncan will be presenting on science partnerships. But Melanie is my PhD student. She can't be here today, but she's created a video for you highlighting some of the aspects that she was going to talk about. We have a very special relationship with the University College London, and in particularly the Aon Benfield Hazard Centre, who does specific research into natural hazards all over the world. And we link with them so that we can share knowledge, but we also do projects with them directly. And we believe very strongly that it's vital that risk assessments and disaster risk reduction is underpinned with good, robust, valid science. And partnerships with academia and also with business as well is absolutely vital. And we've recently been talking to Aon Benfield Reinsurance about how we can better exchange knowledge and improve the community-based disaster risk reduction that we do in various countries around the world. So I'm just going to show you the video that she's put together, highlighting a case study from the Philippines, where she has been applying some of her geological knowledge, working with communities and local civil society organizations. Thank you. I'm the Disaster Risk Reduction Advisor at CAFOD. CAFOD is the Catholic Agency for Overseas Development, and we work in partnership with local civil society organizations in 40 countries across the world. We have a strong policy on disaster risk reduction, and we integrate the methods and the concepts of disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation within our programs so that we make sure that our development is sustainable and also that we prepare for emergencies. An essential part of our disaster risk reduction framework at CAFOD is the inclusion of robust and credible information within our risk assessments. We take a community-based approach, which means that our partners take a participatory approach to understanding and gathering information on hazards, vulnerabilities and capacities of the communities that we work with. An essential element is that whatever information we collect is underpinned by scientific information. So we try and blend the existing traditional knowledge of that community with the existing scientific information for that region. It's really important that we do this so that we can make sure that any activities that we implement with the government is appropriate for that region and is going to last a long time. So we have links and relationships with many universities here in the UK, but also we encourage our partners to link with their own local universities.
As an NGO, CAFOD's always worked in a partnership approach, working not directly ourselves, but working with local organisations who know best the country and the environment they're working with and the challenges that they face. This carries on into all our disaster risk reduction work and is something we believe in quite strongly. More recently, we've taken that approach just one step further by bringing into the relationship not just local church partners and NGOs, but also local universities. The reason for this, particularly in the area of disaster risk reduction, is we feel that it's a vitally important part of disaster risk reduction, is getting the knowledge and the analysis right, and having the quality to do that involves working with universities, and we have many examples of this in the Philippines, in Bangladesh, in Latin America and in Africa that have shown us that this is the way forwards.
Well, in Bangladesh, we work with Bangladesh University for Engineering and Technology, and also with other local national organizations. So multi-partnership program. And within that, we were trying to address particularly the water crisis in the coastal area, southwest coastal area of Bangladesh. Traditional water options are running out, basically. It's no longer effective. So we were looking for different options, and also at the same time the local university was also looking for low-cost option to address these issues. So we came together to work within this program. One is solar, low-cost solar energy. The other one is rainwater harvester with solar purification system. So with this solar purification system is actually collect the rainwater, boil it, and then families can have the safe water. So that seemed to be an appropriate option for the future. The impact of working together with university is that the engineer have access to community, which they also say that they are now tailoring to what people need, so that is from their side.
As well as working with local institutions in the countries in which we work, we have a very important relationship with an academic institution in the UK, which is University College London. This helps us bring together our learning from around the world and take it forward into a wider platform. It's very vital to us that we're able to do this.
Back in 2007, CAFOD and UCL started to discuss ways of working together, and we decided to form a formal partnership to collaborate on issues around disaster risk reduction and environmental change. And this was to be a knowledge exchange and research partnership, and very novel and innovative way of working, which is now being advocated both nationally and internationally by governments. So we were ahead of the time. To date, we've got several projects. We have one on multi-hazard assessments in the Philippines, and more recently we have several projects looking at water risk and water risk management.
My name is Melanie and I'm a researcher at University College London, working in partnership with CAFOD on a project on multi-hazard assessments for building resilient communities in the Philippines. The term multi-hazard appears a lot in DRR policy and literature, yet there's little definition as to what this term means and little guidance as to how to apply a multi-hazard approach. Current approaches tend to focus on more than one hazard in a given place, but multi-hazard analysis needs to incorporate so much more than this. Hazards can interact to trigger secondary hazards or a cascade of hazards. They can also occur simultaneously or in quick succession, meaning that the overall impact may be much larger than if a single hazard had occurred. In order to successfully anticipate these complex multi-hazard interactions, it's necessary to incorporate science with more traditional approaches of community-based hazard assessments. In 2011, the UK government commissioned the Humanitarian Emergency Response Review, and a recommendation for this was for greater anticipation, one through better presentation of science, but also so that decision makers would act on this science. Through my research, I've identified a need to develop a method for multi-hazard assessment which was usable by practitioners. In order to do this, I went to the Philippines, which really is a truly multi-hazardous environment. There's pretty much every natural hazard and many man-made hazards possible in that country. There I met with a variety of local NGOs and spoke to them about how they currently assess multi-hazards. It was quite interesting in the Philippines. I found that a lot of local national NGOs and local NGOs were quite proactive in involving scientists and trying to integrate science wherever they could in their assessments with communities on hazard risk. Of course, there were problems, both internal and external, around access and availability of science and the capacity within both scientific organisations to help these agencies and within the agencies themselves to be able to apply science. The key learning that emerged from the Philippines is that basically key individuals are essential to forming the relationships between scientific organisations and NGOs. That's often a problem with the capacity within NGOs. If they're not aware of what science is missing or what's available to them, then it's difficult to know you should be engaging with these groups. Of key interest in this setting as well is that the academic organisations were all local to the country. They were all national organisations, that they didn't collaborate so much with international ones. And this is important for long-term sustainability. These were local academics, local technical and government agencies that were helping these NGOs. So one thing that was really emphasised was the need to utilise existing science and existing knowledge. These partnerships aren't about brand new research projects that may require lots of funding and time, that actually there's a lot of science available to NGOs that perhaps scientists aren't aware could be of use. Also, there's often a lack of data. It's somewhat, in a country like the Philippines, that the scientific organisations don't have the funds or the manpower to take to be able to study the entire country, given how many natural hazards there are. And communities are seen as a good source of information. They can do long-term monitoring. So they provide the information, and scientists can be quite helpful in then trying to explain the phenomenon that these communities are seeing and help them to attribute the true causes of why their environment's changing or why these hazards are occurring. A key take-home message from my research, I would say, is that a lot of good science is already out there that could be usable in the context of community-based DRR. The key is to communicate this and make it understandable to practitioners, make data available on, for example, databases on hazards and losses within a country, to make governments more accountable for monitoring hazards.
So the projects are truly integrative in all aspects, and this is hugely beneficial because it means that from a UCL and academic point of view, the work it's sound in terms of the science that we're using or developing or researching, and it means that work is founded in the needs of practitioners and policymakers actually working in the ground. So it means that our research has real use and impact. From a CAFOD perspective, I would like to think that it means that CAFOD, perhaps for the first time, has very easy access to researchers in various fields at UCL, and also access to other research resources and things like the library at the university. So it's a mutual benefit to both partners.
We really truly believe that this is the future of DRR, and it is absolutely essential that multi-stakeholder partnerships with academia, with research institutes, with local government and local partners such as civil society organisations are all coming together to work to build resilience at the local level.
So as you can see from this short video, Mel's work in the Philippines has really bridged the gap between the international NGO world and academia. And now we're forging that relationship forwards with business as well. And I think we can learn an awful lot from each other. So I'm happy to take any questions at the back after this. But thank you very much for listening. And I hope that it's inspired you to make sure that whatever disaster risk reduction you do in the future is underpinned by good, reliable science information. Thank you.